Hi, welcome back to my channel Takniki Gyan Guru. Today we will learn how to create a EC2 instance using Terraform. Especially we will create a Ubuntu instance. So there are a lot of different ways, different steps involved. So we'll showcase the steps here. First step is installing or install Terraform. We have already show you in different videos. You can go and check. Next step is set up AWS credentials. So there is two way. Either you can create a AWS credentials if you are out of your AWS. It means if you are running your Terraform file or Terraform from inside the AWS, then in that case you need not to set up the credentials. But if your Terraform is outside from AWS, then you need to set up the credentials. Create a tf config file. So inside the config file we need to define all resources we want to create. Initialize Terraform, so we need to we have some command to initialize Terraform, validate, and and plan, preview the changes, and then we can apply the Terraform so that our Terraform instance will be created. And how we can access our Terraform? So to access the EC2 instance, we have to save a key pair, or we need to create a key pair. Using the key pair, we can we can access our EC2. We have to launch the instance, and then finally using this key pair, we can log into our instance. And once everything is done, all the POCs or R&D you have done, you can destroy your resource. And this is the way where we can create a instance in AWS using Terraform. So this is time to demo. So we move to the VS Code. I have already created one configuration file main.tf. So let's understand each and every resource. First of all, we need to provide the provider. In this provider, we need to choose which provider you want. Do you want to create your infrastructure or resources in AWS, Azure, or Google? So because we are creating in AWS, we are mentioning the AWS, right? Our provider is AWS, so we will create our resources in AWS. A reason, we need to define in which region you want to create your infrastructure. Currently, we will create our infrastructure in AP South 1. It means it is Mumbai region, right? So in the Mumbai region, we will create our infrastructure. Access key and secret key, we are not giving access key and secret key here because our instance is already installed, created in AWS. So I have already created one Ubuntu server. Using that Ubuntu server, we'll run our Terraform. We can define, because I don't want to access from outside. This is the one of the way. One of other way is you have to configure your CLI, right? So once you install the CLI, then AWS CLI, then you have to say AWS configure. In the AWS configure, you need to provide your access key, secret key, your uh, reason, and what format you want to access, like JSON or other format, right? So this way we have to provide give the provider name. Then other resources, BPC. So we are creating a BPC. Inside the BPC, we have to create we have to inside this VPC, we will create all our IP addresses. We have to give the cider block. What is cider block? Cider block is suppose how many IP address you want to assign for your network, right? Suppose 10.0.0.0/28. What does that mean? That means how many IP address it will be created, means it will minus my 32, always minus 32 minus whatever you are mentioning here, right? 16. If I say 28, right? So 32 minus 28, 4. So it will be to the power 4, means 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 means 16. So 16 IP addresses will be assigned to you, but it may have some reserved ID also, IP address also. So this way you have to define how many IP addresses you want in your network, right? So once it's VPC is created, then when you create your machine, right, one machine that will be assigned one IP addresses. So multiple machine will have multiple IP addresses, or multiple resources has multiple IP addresses. If your VPC is not enough, then you can create only those resources with your IP addresses mentioned in your VPC, right? So 16 will have, we have to count how many, means 32 minus 16 to the power 16, that IP addresses will be blocked for us. Enable DNS support, so it will create a DNS support, or enable DNS host name. So host name, it will create a host name for you, the URLs using, apart from the public IP address, the public host name also created. Next one is AWS subnet. So by default we need to create one subnet, right, within the BPC. So only BPC can't work, so you have to create subnet. So subnet will be a small part of the BPC, right, like 16.10.0.0, right, to 16. Here we have mentioned uh, 10.0.1.0, right. From there it will have 24, means 32 minus 24, 6 8 to the power 8, that IP address will be assigned to one of the subnet, right, and we have to access this subnet. uh, this is the BPC ID. This BPC ID we have to provide. How we give the BPC ID, like this is the BPC and this is the BPC name, right, AWS BPC. Now AWS subnet, तकनीकी ज्ञान गुरु subnet. Now how we can access, like BPC ID will be AWS BPC dot BPC name, right, dot BPC name dot ID. So this ID will be assigned to the subnet. Cider block we have given availability zone AP dot south dot 1A. So we have given the Mumbai region, right. In the Mumbai region there are multiple locations. In that location we have like AP South 1A, AP South 1B, AP South 1C. Similarly, different data center will be there. So if you have different subnet, like subnet is South AP South 1A, you can other create another subnet with AP South 1B. Correct. This way it will work. Map public IP on launch. So it means it will create a public IP on launch. When we create a EC2, then it create a public IP for you. Then we are creating a subnet security group. What is security group? Security group is having your ingress or outgress rule, means inbound and outbound rule. Inbound rule means you are giving access to somewhere else from some port. That port the user can access your machine, right. So suppose if you are saying cider block 0, so anybody can access your machine through to port number 22, right. So with your credential, whatever credential you have, so we never give cider role open to everyone. Suppose if you have your own IP address, then you can mention the IP address, only that person can access to your machine, right. So how we can give the security group, this is the name, description, BPCI we have mentioned, and then we have to give the inbound rule in ingress port number from port 22 to port 22 also. So and protocol TCP insider block, everyone can access it, right. Now resource private key. So how our machine will be accessed, right, we need some PAM file to access our machine. So we need to create that PAM file, right. So for that we are creating a private key, right. So TLS private key resource we are creating. We are giving a name, and we are saying the algorithm will be RSA, and the length of the key would be 2048 bits, right. So this way your, if you have more bits, then your key will be more secure, but it will have a lot of complexity. So 2048 is the standard widths for this private key, right? Then we are creating a key pair, right? Using this private key, we have the key pair file. So how we can create the key pair? This is the key pair name. We will use this one, key pair, right? And then public, we have to create a public key, because uh, whenever we create a secure key, we have to have private and public key both, right? Combination of private key. So we are creating a TLS private key, this one, TLS private key dot तकनीकी ज्ञान गुरु की pair, तकनीकी ज्ञान गुरु की pair dot public key open SSH. Using this we will create a another public key, private key and public key. Now key, we have the key pair, private and public key pair, and then we are mentioning a resource. This is the main EC2 resource we are creating, right? So we have to give the EMI. I have already discussed in the previous video which EMI use. This EMI is belongs to one Ubuntu machine, right? So we can go and check this Ubuntu. If you want the Windows or other, in the Windows like uh, 2012 server, or 16 Windows server, or different servers you want, you can also mention their AMI. And we want to free tier, that's why instance type is T2 micro. Key name, right? Key name is the same, AWS key pair takniki gyan guru dot key name, this one, right? Key pair takniki name. This, using this key pair we can access our machine. And the subnet ID, right? Within this subnet ID our instance will be created. And we are also assigning the BPC security ID. So if you have multiple security ID, you can say like AWS security group dot, you can say security group here, this AWS security group dot Takniki Gyan group security group, right? So this way you can give AWS security group dot Takniki Gyan security group dot ID. So it will use the security ID with this. If you have multiple security ID, then you can use the comma here and mention more security ID over here. Associate public IP address. Yes, I want the public IP so that I can access my machine, right? And I'm giving the name so that it can be recognized that I am the owner of this machine, correct? Now the null resources, basically we are creating a file using the key pair, right? This key pair we have defined, private key and key pair. Using this we are creating a pem file, right? So how we are not creating any resource, that's why we mentioned the null resource, generate key file, right? So we are using a command echo tls private key तकनीकी ज्ञान group key pair dot private key pem, right? Using this we can create a pem file at tzz.pem. So it will, using this key pair, we are creating a it will give you a key, right? Private key for this, and then this key will be inserted into one file, and this file will be created for your machine, right? Once this file is created, we are giving access 600 tggpm so that I can access this file, right? So this way we will use the tgg file to log in our machine, and this will be downloaded. Now once this file is downloaded, then we are also creating the internet gateway. So what is internet gateway? So once machine is created in AWS, that that is not publicly exposed, so that cannot be accessed from outside of the AWS. So if we are sitting at home, we want to connect to the AWS machine, we that machine should be opened using the internet gateway. That service needs to be created, and this resource should be associated with the route table. Route table is another resource that is connected with your BPC, right? That BPC, right? And route table BPC, and this will be route table, similar route table as we have the router in data center, right? It will route your request using from the internet. So this we need to create the internet gateway, and we it will create an internet gateway, and we have to define the which BPC we need to connect in. So AWS BPC, we have created BPC and assign this BPC to the internet gateway so that we can access our machine from outside, right? And we have to associate this internet gateway with your this one, the gateway. So route table, we are creating a route table again. This route table, we are associating this route table with your BPC, AWS BPC technique and that BPC ID, right? So this is the route table we are assigning. Now we are routing our gateway to our BPC. Inside this, anybody from outside can be accessed through the gateway, right? So this gateway, the user can access directly from outside to gateway, and this route table will route your request to the BPC, whatever resources we have created, right? So this will be created. Now the route table association, so we need to associate this route table to our subnet, right? So route table, AWS route table association, this is the name of this one. And the subnet ID, we will say AWS subnet dot guru subnet dot id. This is we have created in the upper side, this you can see, the subnet AWS subnet dot dot subnet, right? And dot id. So dot id, similarly route table dot id. So this is the route table we have created, AWS uh, hyphen route underscore table dot route table dot id, right? This one, if you can see, AWS underscore route underscore table, AWS underscore route underscore table तकनीकी ज्ञान गुरु underscore route underscore table dot id. So this will associate your subnet with your route table. Once it is done, we have to see the our instance DNS and public IP. So we will use the output uh, instance or output parameter here, so that it will you can give any name and value equal to AWS instance technical instance dot public DNS. You can see AWS instance technical instance, right? AWS instance dot technical instance dot public DNS. Similarly, AWS instance dot technical underscore instance dot public IP. This way, it will print you the DNS name and your IP address, right? So this way it's, and for the understanding of the code, let's move to the browser. So what we need to do is we need to configure the AWS CLI. We don't need to configure, but we need to configure the some role, right? So either if you are using the AWS machine, then you need to create a role. That role should have access to EC2 and BPC, and that role should be assigned to your machine. Let's move one by one. So let's move to the browser first, then we'll move to other, right? Now we move to the AWS. I have already shown you how to log in AWS. Now we can go directly to EC2. Also, I have shown you how to install the Terraform in Linux server in previous video. You can go and check how to install the Terraform in Linux server. So I have created one machine, right? Manually that machine I have created, this one in Terraform. In this machine I have installed the Terraform. That is already created one video, right? How to create a machine, and one video how to create a machine, and another video I have show you how to install Terraform in Linux server. So this is the Linux server I have created. So if you want more clarity, if you want further thing, or if you have some issues, just let me know. I will definitely help you on this. So I have created this machine, And what we need to do is we need to give a permission to this machine so that it can run the Terraform, right? So it needs some permission. So how we'll give a permission? We'll go to IAM, go to the IAM, and go to the roles and create a role, anything like AWS service, and say EC2. Okay, so EC2 use case, you say EC2 and click next. Permission you want, okay, you say is click EC2 and give EC2 full permission. And also I want the BPC because we are also creating the BPC, so I'll give BPC full permission, BPC full permission, giving two access EC2 and BPC because we are creating a BPC and we are creating a EC2 box. So let's create TGG EC2 full access permission. Okay, and create a role. So once you create, similarly I have created TGG EC2 role, you can create anyone, right? So let's go to the roles are created. Let's go to EC2 and go your instance, select your instance and action, security, and modify IAM role. Click on here and click your role. Either you can say this, these are same permission, right? You can choose one of them and update IAM. So now your machine is ready. This is the Linux machine. Your machine is ready and you need to run your Terraform inside this machine. So let's log in and check. Now we are in command prompt. So let's log into the machine, Ubuntu machine I have created for Terraform. I have installed, I'm using the SSS command here. Moving into the Linux box. In this box I have already installed Terraform. Let's check Terraform version. See, Terraform is installed. Uh, CLI is also installed if it is not required. AWS version. So let me know if you want to discuss on this one also. So let's create one folder, mkdir Terraform. You can create any folder, right? Now copy your this one. Let's say create one file, main.tf. So I have created only one file, right? So we can create multiple file to segregate our code, different code, right? Or we can create the modules as well. So for quick understanding I have created one file only. So I'm just paste here same code, you can check same code. Now we have understood from the VS code. You can use you can use sorry, escape colon wq enter, right? So you can use scp command to move your file from there to here, that is also fine. Now we have created the installed the Terraform. We have given the permission to this machine in AWS, and we have created the configuration file. Now let's uh, type Terraform init, install or all the providers and packages or dependencies and for the Terraform for this your configuration file. Right now let's validate it. Terraform validate. If there are any issue, formatting issue in your code, it will show you the issue, so it's fine. Now Terraform apply. It will give you an overview, right? What are the resources we are going to create in AWS? Let's see. Let's understand what is it. Let's see. AWS instance we are creating, the AMI same we have given, right? And now AWS internet gateway. Using the internet gateway we can access from outside. We are creating a key pair file over here. The route table, this will map your subnet and API subnet and your gateway. AWS route table association, this route table and subnet will be associated. Security group we are creating, opening for all, only for 22 port, 22 port, and AWS subnet we are creating here, right? And BPC also creating with the cider block. And null resource, from null resource we are creating a file, and this is the private key, right? So total we are creating 10 resources. Now it is asking for uh, okay, we have said Terraform apply. Okay, so let's no say no. Okay, okay, sorry, I need to type Terraform uh, plan. This will give you a preview. Type two times Terraform plan. This will give you a preview of your resource. See, similarly, right? What are we are going to create? See, same, the instance, the gateway, key pair, route table, route table association, and security group, subnet, BPC, null resource, and TLS private key. You have the preview. Now you can type final type uh, Terraform apply. Once you create, it will create your resources, right? So it will ask you, enter a value. You have to say yes or no. If you say yes, then your resource will be created, and one file will be downloaded that is called the tgg.pam file, right? Using that file, we will log into our machine. So now your machine is created. Let's type ls. You can see main.tf state file. This is the state file. We have already talked about it. We'll talk about later. This will keep your record, right? So session, so it means you whatever you have created, it will record it, and when next time you add or update, add or delete, it will match from the state and the new configuration, and then based on that it will add it or delete it and changes. It will give you like this: resources 10 added, changed, and destroyed, right? Let's tgg pem file is created. Let's log in ssh hyphen I and to say pem file tgg, pem file name tgg.pem, and machine name is ubuntu, right? Ubuntu by default, and we need to say the IP address. This is created IP address, right? And paste over here. We'll say yes. Now you are into your machine. You can check ls, nothing is there. You create mkdir e cd cd vim test I button to edit, and this is Terraform, and we have created a EC2 in AWS through Terraform. Escape :wq. This is created. See, now we have created. Let's exit. Right now we are in the Terraform machine. Right, we have created the Ubuntu. If you want, we can go and check in our AWS. Let's move to the browser. Now we are in browser. I can see one instance is getting created. It is in pending state. Now run it. We see this EC2 machine is created. Let's click and see the same EMID Linux. You can see the same EMID, and this EC2 is created. We haven't assigned any IAM role here. We have assigned to my Terraform file, right, in the Terraform machine, and the tgg EC2 role. So if you go to IAM and click roles, we have created this one. Both are same actually. I will show you. If you click on this, you can see Amazon EC2 full access and Amazon BPC full access. These two roles has been assigned to that machine, right, Ubuntu machine, from where we have created our resources, right. So Terraform we have installed in this machine and given these two access so that the Terraform can run and create our resources. So you have created all your machine. So you have already created your machine, and if you want to destroy all your machine, you just need to type terraform destroy and enter, and you have to say yes. This will destroy all your resources from AWS. So all 10 resources are destroyed, you can see. So you need not to worry about your resources. Whatever is created through Terraform, everything will be deleted from the AWS. Correct. So now we will move to the slide. Now we are done with the demo, and if you have any questions or queries, just feel free to comment, and I will come back with the solutions. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and also comment. If you need any technical help in your tools and technology, we'll definitely give you a solution. Thank you so much. Bye.